Today we're talking about browsers and search engines. And this topic came about because many times troubleshooting with someone, I'll say, well, open your browser, and they will say, what's the browser? So we thought it wouldn't hurt to do kind of a refresher on browsers versus the search engines, because there is a difference. So today we hope to cover the major browsers, search engine choices, and privacy and security. And Hope will be covering the search engine choices because she'll tell you when she started offering educational sessions on that topic when it gets to be her turn. So what is a web browser? Well, it's a software application, and that's how you access various websites or content on the internet. Now, I put an asterisk here to describe what the internet is, because when you say, most people will say, I go on the internet. Well, the internet is the interconnected computer networks around the world. And sometimes it's referred to as a network of networks. And the internet actually emerged in the 1970s, and it was really a governmental military operation where computers were connecting from one base or site to another. But we really didn't become familiar with the internet until the World Wide Web, or the browsers, came into being. And that's when we started seeing the more graphic look to the internet. So I thought it would be useful just to give you a little background on some of the first web browsers and portals that were available. The first web browser was called World Wide Web, and that was developed in 1990 by Tim Berners-Lee. Now, he gets the credit for being the first web browser. Now, AOL, American Online, was a web portal and online service provider that public became aware of in 1989 when it was Quantum Computer Services. And that's when
there were others too, Ann.
Pardon?
There were other web portals that were predated AOL.
Yeah, that was like CompuServe and a few others.
CompuServe and The Source and The Well, etc.
Yes, but those weren't really typical. They weren't really directed toward the mass public. You had to be pretty nerdy to get involved with some of those portals. And I think AOL, now called AOL, it was American Online back in the day. That's when we started getting those CDs in the mail. I mean, they were like candy. You could pick them up anywhere. And that was kind of the first exposure, I think, for people to see something on the internet. Mosaic, probably you're familiar with that. That started in 1993, and that was developed by the National Center for Supercomputing. I got a typo there. And then Safari in 2003 and Google Chrome in 2008. So they were the last ones to the party, but they now have the highest percentage of use, almost 66%. Safari comes way behind, almost 19%. The Microsoft Edge is 4.28, and you can see the rest are in less than double digits for percent use of the major web browsers. Well, how does a web browser work? And each website is written in codes that describe the layout, the format, and the content on the page. And the most common language is HTML. And that's the abbreviation for hypertext markup language. And now Hope and I both can go in the back end of a website and see what that language looks like. Now, Hope, as the webmaster for CCI Charlestown, she is constantly in the back end and is well versed in the language that is used and for putting together a website. So if you request a website from a website the browser retrieves its files from a web server and then displays the page on your screen. And to find a website, I'm talking to experts here, you know about using the search line on your browser or the URL, putting in the website address or entering a term into a search engine. And that URL is like a mailing address or a postal address. It goes to one specific page. Now, all of the websites, all of the browsers work with bookmarks, navigation, and I'm going to just walk through some of the features that are universal. Bookmarks is a way to electronically bookmark a page so you can save it and come back to it another day. And some bookmarks you can set as favorites, so they're very easy to get to. I'm putting a link here, and I would recommend if you have any questions about Safari especially, there's a table of contents on the support page that will walk you through all the details for every feature that's available. And you can find the same kinds of information for other browsers by using a search engine, and Hope will touch on that. Now, the navigation, I think that sometimes we forget how much is available. And I put the navigation bar for Safari and Chrome on this slide, but you can see there's the one on the end, of course, is to reach into your history and the tabs that are open, you know, the back button. I have quite a few extensions here. And of course, this is the search bar there. And we have the share button and accessing other tabs. It's pretty similar. You just kind of have to figure out, okay, what's the equivalent in Chrome? And I don't use Chrome a lot, but I was just on there this morning and decided maybe I'll play around with that a little bit more, because they have a lot of extensions that are not available in Safari. Now here, the browsers that I discussed, they all offer tabs and tab groups. And I used to think Safari was the only one where you could bring 2 or 3 different tabs on a related topic together, and that would be a tab group. But both Edge and Google Chrome also offer tab groups. Some people run with 20 tabs open at a time. I tend to maybe run with about 10 open at the time. But one thing, if you use a lot of tabs, meaning you're opening up a lot of different web pages and the tabs are all open on the top, that there is a feature in Safari under settings. You'll notice that you can show website icons in your tabs, which gives you the logo or the icon that's used for that website. And it's kind of easier to see where you are. There's lots of shortcuts you can use when you're working in a browser to, and here's a few here, using the command key and click to open a link in a new tab, for example. Now I'm going to run through what the pages look like, the website looks like for each browser. Here's Google Chrome. Now Google Chrome offers multiple profiles, and Hope, you use that.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Okay. I have different tab groups and different totally setups for 3 different profiles. The one that's the roseate spoonbill in the middle is my personal profile, and that's where I do most of my work. But when I'm working in CCI Charlestown, I would, and you have to start from a fresh Chrome opening. Then I would pick the Charlestown one, and I have ones that I refer to a lot from there. Similarly, the one on the right that's in purple, I'm webmaster of a genealogy club in Massachusetts. And we have we use Google Suite and Google Drive, and it's a totally different Google Drive than my normal one, because I have to be logged in as webmaster at massdoginc.org. So that's why the third one, because that's when I would be doing that genealogy work for Massachusetts.
Now that was kind of new to me, and I don't use my browser that way, but it makes a lot of sense when you're working on multiple projects with multiple websites to deal with. Now, this is interesting in that you'll look at Google Android and Google iPhone. These are screenshots that Hope did. They look exactly the same. And I think that might be a surprise to some people. But Google, it is its own ecosystem across Gmail, the Google Drive, the calendar, and it makes it easy. Now, Safari also has the ability to customize, and with your favorites always at the ready. And I use that. And let's go to Edge. Looks like this when you're opening up your home page. That's got quite a bit of news. It's got the weather. Okay. Firefox. I used Firefox back in the day before Safari came along. And I think that came out of the Mosaic.
Yes.
The Netscape. The Netscape was the name of the earlier browser. Firefox came out of that. And then Opera does very well on mobile devices. I haven't used this for years, but it's still around. And some people really like it. And that kind of takes care of my take on browsers. Are there any questions before we go on, or comments?
Just a screen of a bunch of the search engines. Looking at the one that's there at the top, this is just, I asked Google for a picture of search engines and got this in Google Images. And interestingly, Baidu and Yandex, they're, I guess, the South Korean and the Chinese, or Yandex, I think is Russian. Anyway, and WoW is an AOL offshoot, but the major ones we use today is Google and Bing. If you go to the next, okay, this is what a search engine is. It's actually something that it's a bar, or that you put your term in. It's the website that allows you to search using a term that you have chosen, not a website address. And it links to other websites, which are the research results from the index database of the search engine to the term you've put in the search engine. So to do it fairly simple, you put in your words and it will go out to its database and look for how those words fit, what results they can bring back to you. And there have been search engines long before Google came along. And let's see if you go to the next slide. Back in 1997, I noticed that Google Chrome didn't come out till 2008. Well, in 1997, Sergey, oh, and that's, wow, it's a typo. Sergey Brin spoke at Internet Librarian in 1997. Walt Howe, my husband, and I invited him as a speaker. And he was one of 8 or 9 search engines that we invited. And it was a newcomer that was just being announced. The standbys at that point were Alta Vista and Hotbot and let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the other names. I have them in the notes, but the Hotbot was around Ask Jeeves was around. So we had Sergey Brin come, and he had a dot matrix business card that he gave me at that point. And he was working out of his, I guess, a garage or, in Palo Alto. It was before, while he was still a graduate student. So I just thought it was fun, since Google is such a major player today, that he was just one of the gang at back in 1997. If you want to go on to the next one. So search engines are those that they're indexing and organizing information from across the internet to help you find what you want. Whenever you put in a descriptive word rather than an address to retrieve what you're looking for, you're using a search engine. So today, each of the browsers that we've mentioned, and all of them, use the same 5 search engines, and you can choose any of the 5 from whichever one. Set it to use Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, or Ecosia as your search engine. If you go to the next slide. And Google and Bing are your 2 major ones, and they both make money from ads, and they both and they both tailor the ads to your searching. There's good and bad for that. And Google is known for its powerful search algorithms and personalized results. They've been working at this for a long time. And Bing is Microsoft's search engine, offering integration with Windows devices, and it's a really interesting search engine. Among the other 3, if you go back to the slide before, and DuckDuckGo is known for emphasizing privacy, but all 3, or Google and Bing, you can do just as privately as you can Go, but it's an added step that we'll talk about. So next slide. DuckDuckGo is a private search engine. It uses Bing and Yahoo and Yandex, as well as a bunch of other sites as the base for its search engine, although it has a smaller database than I think either Chrome or Bing uses. Its advantage is it does not share any user information with any of its partners. Therefore, you don't get the benefit of customized results. So if you like seeing search results that show your interests, then you wouldn't mind using the ones with ads. If you don't want to do that, you can use DuckDuckGo, or you can use in private or incognito in one of the others. So if you go to the next slide. For instance, when I put in Amazon retractable badge holder in Google and just put in those terms, I got what almost looked like a page right out of Amazon as the first listing. And I could go right to there to actually pick the item. And there were 3 or 4 other listings that were similar below that, but the first one showed that. And if you went to Bing, you have this pretty much the same result, in that you can go right into within Amazon to find what you're looking for. And there are tabs with both of those where you can customize that right at that point. Now, if you go to the next one and look at what you get with DuckDuckGo, instead you're getting a much more vanilla approach with a search term, and it's interesting that the first ad you get there, because there are ads in all of them, is not to Amazon. You'd have to take the second choice if you wanted to look at Amazon, because the first one is to a website, temu.com. So I thought that was interesting.
I'd like to go back to the Google one, because I use DuckDuckGo a lot, and I notice on the Google one, it's offering a lot of choices regarding the type of badge.
Right, exactly.
Vertical, numbers, price, used. I might have to go back to Google based on the more options there.
Yeah, and then you have the Explorer
Yeah.
onto the left in the Bing. So it does some of your side things on the left-hand side. It gives you
Yes, I see that here, yes.
some of the things there. So anyway,
That's some kind of an eye opener. I haven't really paid attention to that until now. Okay.
Next. Okay, the other search engines, and it's kind of interesting. Yahoo, which has been out there since the mid-90s, is now powered by Bing, but has its own shell on it. It's sort of like our shuttle buses that they change the shell. So they have the current branding. Ecosia is a search engine powered by Bing. Their whole thing is sustainability. It's out of Germany, and it's a good search engine. I don't think it's worth my time yet, but I mean, it's a perfectly good search engine. But they plant trees for all of your searches. And AOL, powered by Bing, is owned by Yahoo, and Wow for AOL uses Google, and was created for the World of Warcraft. So you can go both ways with AOL. S.com is still around. It's one of the early ones that was a search engine designed to answer questions, and it's a very it's a niche. And again, the Internet Archive, I use it a lot, and it maintains a historical archive of the web. And if you remember seeing something on the web a while ago and you can't get to it now and the page is no longer there, you may be able to search that website on the Internet Archive and pull old issues of whatever that is at. What I've done with CCI Charlestown in order to get pictures of what we look like historically is I've gone to the Internet Archive and looked back in earlier years and picked up the front page of the website.
That's great.
Yandex, Baidu, and Naver are the Russian, Chinese, and South Korean search engines that are most popular there. Okay, if we go on to the next ones, I don't think there's any talk that we should be giving where we don't mention privacy and security. They're really important to everything. And all of the search engines do take privacy and security to heart. All of them give you the opportunity to clear your cache so that you can take your earlier searches out of it. Apple Safari uses this intelligent tracking prevention and has a privacy report where you can see your history. Pretty much all of them allow you to manage cookies and clear your browsing history. And if we have a few minutes at the end, maybe we could show that live. And you can enable a private browsing mode to prevent tracking and store local data temporarily. If you want to go to the next slide. On Chrome, the private mode is called incognito, and you'll know that you're in it because you're on a black screen with white type. You have to basically open a new tab to get out of it or to close Chrome. But once you go into it, it's not tracking anything, so it's as secure as DuckDuckGo is. Private mode on Edge is called in private. So this is an example. If you're on your iPhone or iPad and you tap the triple dot icon in the bottom right corner, which is actually, it means more. The three dots means more. There you can choose new incognito or new in private tab if you're depending on where you're going, and a secure window will appear. So if you're going to Chrome, you do new incognito. If you're going to Edge, you do new in private. On Safari and Firefox, it really depends on your choice of search engine. If you pick Google, then you're going to use incognito. And if you pick Bing, then you used in private. So if we go on to the next one, don't know if that has anyone has any questions in that, we can as that at the end. I'm near the end. The browser you choose and the search engine you use are totally personal preferences. But no matter which one you pick, you know, it's useful to get to know the various features that Anne was talking about, the address bar, bookmarks, the navigation buttons, and the tabs. And each of the browsers has privacy features. You can change at any time your search engine to one of the 5 choices. So you might want to try one of the others out to see if it offers anything different or better than the one you've been using. So if we go to the next slide, I think that is really our last slide.